Hey everyone, Britta Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. It's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In today's video, this is video number 6 in the trilogy Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. If this is your first time here in the Conversations with God series, I highly recommend checking out the playlist up above. That's going to get you caught up from the beginning to where we are right now in the book. Feel free to continue to watch this video, but if you get lost on anything or wonder what's going on, I do highly recommend to check out those first videos. I'm going to get right to the point because this passage is a little bit longer. It's going to cover 2 chapters, chapter 17 and chapter 18 of the first book. And man, does it have some big information in it. So without any further ado, I give you Conversations with God.
There are those who say that life is a school, that we are here to learn specific lessons, that once we graduate, we can go on to larger pursuits, no longer shackled by the body. Is this correct?
It is another part of your mythology based on human experience.
Life is not a school?
Nope.
We're not here to learn lessons?
Nope.
Well, then why are we here?
To remember and recreate who you are. I've told you over and over again, you do not believe me. Yet that is well as it should be. For truly, if you do not create yourself as who you are, that you cannot be.
Okay, all right, you've lost me. Let's go back to this school bit. I've heard teacher after teacher tell us that life is a school. I'm frankly shocked to hear you deny that.
School is a place you go if there is something you do not know that you want to know. It is not a place you go if you already know a thing and simply want to experience your knowingness. Life, as you call it, is an opportunity for you to know experientially what you already know conceptually. You need learn nothing to do this. You need merely remember what you already know and act on it.
I'm not sure I understand.
Let's start here. The soul, your soul, knows all there is to know all the time. There's nothing hidden to it, nothing unknown, yet knowing is not enough. The soul seeks to experience. You can know yourself to be generous, but unless you do something which displays generosity, you have nothing but a concept. You can know yourself to be kind, but unless you do someone a kindness, you have nothing but an idea about yourself. It is your soul's only desire to turn its grandest concept about itself into its greatest experience. Until concept becomes experience, all there is speculation. I have been speculating about myself for a long time, longer than the age of the universe times the age of the universe. You see then how young it is, how new is my experience of myself.
Wait, you've lost me again. Your experience of yourself?
Yes, let me explain it to you this way. In the beginning, that which is all there was. And there was nothing else. Yet, all that is could not know itself, because all that is all there was, and there was nothing else. And so all that is was not. For in the absence of something else, all that is not. This is the great is not is, to which mystics have referred from the beginning of time. Now, all that is knew it was all there was. But this was not enough, for it could only know its utter magnificence conceptually, not experientially. Yet the experience of itself is that for which it longed, for it wanted to know what it felt like to be so magnificent. Still, this was impossible, because the very term magnificent is a relative term. All that is could not know what it felt like to be magnificent unless that which is not showed up. In the absence of that which is not, that which is not. Do you understand this?
I think so. Keep going.
All right. The one thing that all that is knew is there was nothing else. And so it could and would never know itself from a reference point outside of itself. Such a point did not exist. Only one reference point existed, and that was the single place within the is not is, the am not am. Still, the all of everything chose to know itself experientially. This energy, this pure, unseen, unheard, unobserved, and therefore unknown by anyone else energy, chose to experience itself as the utter magnificence it was. In order to do this, it realized it would have to use a reference point within. It reasoned quite correctly that any portion of itself would necessarily have to be less than the whole, and that if it thus simply divided itself into portions, each portion, being less than the whole, could look back on the rest of itself and see magnificence. And so all that is divided itself, becoming in one glorious moment that which is this and that which is that. For the first time, this and that existed, quite apart from each other, and still both existed simultaneously, as did all that was neither. Thus, three elements suddenly existed: that which is here, that which is there, and that which is neither here nor there, but which must exist for here and there to exist. It is the nothing which holds the everything. It is the non-space which holds the space. It is the all which holds the parts. Can you understand this? Are you following this?
I think I am, actually. Believe it or not, you've used such a clear illustration that I think I'm actually understanding this.
I'm going to go further. Now, this nothing which holds the everything is what some people call God. Yet that is not accurate either, for it suggests that there is something God is not, namely everything that is not nothing. But I am all things, seen and unseen. So this description of me as the great unseen, the no thing, or the space between, an essentially Eastern mystical definition of God, is no more accurate than the essentially Western practical description of God as all that is seen. Those who believe that God is all that is and all that is not are those whose understanding is correct. Now, in creating that which is here and that which is there, God made it possible for God to know itself. In the moment of this great explosion from within, God created relativity, the greatest gift God ever gave to itself. Thus, relationship is the greatest gift God ever gave to you, a point to be discussed in detail later. From the no thing, thus sprang the everything, a spiritual event entirely consistent, incidentally, with what your scientists call the Big Bang Theory. As the elements of all raced forth, time was created. For a thing was first here, then it was there, and the period it took to get from here to there was measurable. Just as the parts of itself which are seen began to define themselves relative to each other, so too did the parts which are unseen. God knew that for love to exist and to know itself as pure love, its exact opposite had to exist as well. So God voluntarily created the great polarity, the absolute opposite of love, everything that love is not, what is now called fear. In the moment fear existed, love could exist as a thing that could be experienced. It is this creation of duality between love and its opposite, which humans refer to in their various mythologies as the birth of evil, the fall of Adam, the rebellion of Satan, and so forth. Just as you have chosen to personify pure love as the character you call God, so have you chosen to personify abject fear as a character you call the devil. Some on Earth have established rather elaborate mythologies around this event, complete with scenarios of battles and war, angelic soldiers and devilish warriors, the forces of good and evil, of light and dark. This mythology has been mankind's early attempt to understand and tell others in a way they could understand, a cosmic occurrence of which the human soul is deeply aware, but of which the mind can barely conceive. In rendering the universe as a divided version of itself, God produced from pure energy all that now exists, both seen and unseen. In other words, not only was the physical universe thus created, but the metaphysical universe as well, the part of God which forms the second half of the am, not am equation, also exploded into an infinite number of units smaller than the whole. These energy units you would call spirits. In some of your religious mythologies, it is stated that God the Father had many spirit children. This parallel to the human experiences of life multiplying itself seems to be the only way the people could be made to hold in reality the idea of the sudden appearance, the sudden existence of countless spirits in the kingdom of heaven. In this instance, your mythical tales and stories are not so far from ultimate reality, for the endless spirits comprising the totality of me are, in a cosmic sense, my offspring.
Wow. I feel like I say that after every passage. Just wow. There's so much information there. What would happen if you had a conversation with God? This is something that dawned on me as I was listening to this. And I had to listen to this passage over and over and over again because this is one of the more complex parts of the book. But it's so important to try to grasp what God is talking about. If I was having a conversation with God, a one-on-one conversation where I could ask anything, what do I think that God's responses would be? I used to feel like God would come at me with biblical quotations and tell me in scripture where the word is that we're discussing, where is the justification for the answers to my questions. But now I think about it, and if I were to go to God and I were to say, well, what you said is not biblical, who am I to question what God is saying with the Bible? And I don't mean this in any kind of negative way, or I'm not bashing the Bible by any means, but it really caught me off guard and made me stop and think, what if I'm having a conversation with God? What am I going to do if God calls the Bible mythological? What did that do within me the first time I ever listened to this book? Now, I don't have the same belief systems that I did then, and here's a video up above if you want to see why. But from where I was the first time I ever listened to this book, that was kind of a slap in the face. And I had to ask myself, okay, do I want to know the truth from the Bible, or do I want to know this truth straight from God? Now, again, this is a book written by Neale Donald Walsch of his channeling work with God. It's up to you to decide what resonates as truth for you. And by no means am I saying to reject your belief systems entirely because of this one book. I'm just asking you merely to be open-minded and ask yourself, if you were to have an actual conversation with God one-on-one, what would that look like? How do you think God would respond to you? What type of questions would you ask? This is very important to understand within yourself because you're creating these boundaries, or not having boundaries, which I think is better. You're creating some sort of a rule system for the truth you're allowing yourself to be open to and the truth that you are going to be closed off on. So ask yourself, are you willing, if you were to know the truth, the real truth about God, about creation, about the universe, and know for 100% that the information you were receiving was true, but it contradicted what you were raised to believe, are you ready to receive that information? if it changed everything about your foundation of belief, would it be worth it? Do you want to know that actual real truth, or are you comfortable with where you're at? Again, I'm asking this question because it was something that was brought up within myself. And I know usually at the end of the videos, I do sort of a recap about what we just listened, but honestly, there's so much information there that this video would be an hour long if I tried to unpack it. And that's part of why I decided to add the audio clips to these videos, so that you can listen for yourself, and just like anything else, you can have your own revelations of what speaks to you. What truth did you get out of that? I can give you my perspective and my opinion all day long. But at the end of the day, my truth is my truth, my journey is my journey, and my walk is my walk. You have to be true to yourself, your journey, your truth, your walk. Nobody else can live your life for you. Nobody else can have the experiences of your life for you. Only you can. So I hope this video gave you something to think about. Let me know. I am so curious. I want to know your thoughts. What did you gain from this video? What did it mean to you? Tell me your perspective. Tell me your interpretation. And if this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And also, if you feel this message needs to be heard by somebody, share this video with them. Help us to continue to grow this community. You guys are amazing. These last 2 weeks have blown me away. I cannot say thank you enough. You guys are absolutely amazing. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.